Hey, welcome at Agriware Talks. My name is Arno Hogervorst. I'm Chief Innovations here at Enterprise Agriware. And with me today is Garrett.
Hi there. My name is Garrett Walsh. I am the Sales Director for North America. I'm excited to be here. I'm in Holland today, which is exciting. The coffee is hot. The sun is shining. Everyone is nice. I almost got ran over by 3 bicycles this morning, but we're here, we're happy, and I'm glad to be with Arno today, talking about Agriware.
Cool. Good to have you, Garrett. And it was a while since we met the last time, and it's really good to have you here. But from the perspective of North America, what could you say about what the greatest or the biggest operational challenge currently is where growers in North America are dealing with?
Growers in North America. As things continue to progress over in the States, it's always about understanding what you have, but more importantly, what you also need in terms of data, in terms of validation, but also in terms of running your day-to-day business. I think it's vastly important to have a solution and have an understanding of your current operational day-to-day business to really, again, make decisions, again, that can be acted upon and really kind of realized.
Yeah, got it. And the challenges they have, I would say, on different areas in the greenhouse, that could be somewhere at the machine line, it could be somewhere at the office, maybe even in the boardroom, right? So where is it where growers in North America are having, the biggest benefit of more of a integrated system, like an ERP system, where that is getting?
Yeah, absolutely. On a day in and day out basis, everything that we do in this business, as you know, is all about what we have, what product needs to be completed, what sales deadlines need to be hit, what inventory needs to be allocated, but more importantly, what needs to be put on the truck and shipped. And I think really when it comes back down to that validation and running your day-to-day business, having a single system of inventory, a single system of truth that, again, not only provides clarity, but again allows you to make actionable decisions on your day-to-day business, can not only reinforce what you're trying to do, but also validate on the back end. And I think that's really where this understanding of data and then how computer systems and ERP can work with your day-to-day business is understanding that a fragmented ecosystem is only as good as a conversation from me to you. However, if I had to tell that to Joe down the street, we may cross paths. We may not be talking the same language. We may not be understanding that same commonality of really what we need to really drive our business. Can we make real decisions? Can we have real insight and really act upon the data?
Yeah. Here in Europe, but also in other regions in the world, like Australia, New Zealand, we see that typically the biggest competitor to us as being a software company in this industry of growers is typically still Excel, right? It's such a great tool in the sense that, it's flexible. You can add everything in. You get your list and all of that. But what we experience is that nowadays, when you would like to make the right decisions on the work floor and you would like to have the right presentation in your boardroom, that working from Excel is kind of what you mentioned, I think, that isolated island of data, very valuable in terms of operational, but not so easy in terms of making, decisions right now and having the right view. So we see that kind of the integrated approach of an ERP system with integration with mobile apps on the work floor, that is where data quality comes up and is a very important element to, at the end, make those decisions and have those insights. But how does it in the US and Canada?
Yeah, it's very similar. It's unique in this business. Oftentimes we wear a lot of different hats depending on what we grow, who we grow for, where we grow. Data is no different. There's a reason why there still is genus and species when it comes to the Latin understanding of our names. Yeah. That's because it's a commonality of data. And I think being able to register and record results, but also define your business practice because the data requires it, also allows you to really kind of enhance what you're talking about so that you can kind of cross that barrier of data misinformation by speaking the same language, which in this case is your ERP data.
Yeah.
For the European market, I mean, what is the best way to approach that? When we're looking at multiple projects, understanding that you may call something one way and I may call something different. What is the best, in your opinion? What's the best way to kind of approach that challenge?
Well, in terms of implementation, we typically approach it from the point of view that, I mean, there's always some form of system in place, right?
Right.
And this is where you see so many creative solutions, from Island Excel and 100% Excel-driven companies to a scattered landscape of all kind of applications, not really integrated and having hard times to combine all that.
Right.
To like the enterprises who we're also working with Agriware, already having like an ERP system because they're already multinational. So everything in that scape is what we deal with. So from implementation wise, it's we always start with the questions of, okay, but why is this here?
Right.
Why is it? Are you doing it like this?
Right.
So start with the why is an important thing before we just start with the tools.
Right.
And the business process itself is extremely important, starting point for us as well. So to understand exactly how things are done before you step in with,
a solution,
any tool. Yeah.
Right.
And then from there, we are building it up in the advice we are able to give to, the growers. Okay, if you would like to do it like this, and you would like to replace this or that, this will be the appropriate way to do it. And then a very important thing I typically advise is not to do everything at once.
Right.
If possible, I mean, sometimes there are situations you cannot avoid that, but when it is possible, then just do it phased.
Mm-hmm.
And take them out one by one in order to get that full, beneficial integrated system.
Right. Well, I think also, I mean, that mirrors how this industry is. Being the fact that you grow through seasons, you go through steps, you understand what that baseline foundation is, you understand the product you're trying to grow, and then ultimately you obviously try to grow to the spec or quality that you're trying to do. I would say that data and understanding your ERP information is none the different. It's still the fact that we get to treat this as we would any other product that we're growing. So it deserves the same level of respect and understanding that you've got to start in those phases. A strong foundation allows you to really understand the data that you're using, you're gathering, as well as, again, go through that entire process and continue to learn and continue to improve and continue to get better. When it kind of comes to that process mapping, that change mapping, I know we've been talking about Excel and the fact that it is so flexible, but to be honest, the original Excel is just paper. Yeah. Being the fact that we're able to draw and become really understanding and creative with what those solutions need to look like. From a process standpoint, is that still the same when it kind of comes into transitioning into more of a enterprise level ERP system?
Well, it's not 100% the same, but the biggest benefit is that you are much more able than before to work towards operational excellence, right? Because with Excel, you have the flexibility and all of that, but recording stuff on the work floor with Excel is, kind of clumsy and not really.
Right.
So it's about where to start entering data or having data available in a real-time format, right? So that's where mobile applications connected to ERP are extremely important to make the right decision on the work floor, in the greenhouse, at the machine lines, and not in a format which is like, clumsy and large, etc.
Right.
But straight to what you need as being a potter or operating a sewing line, standing somewhere in the greenhouse, and you need to know what is standing in front of me here, what type of jobs or production batches are there. So that is where I would say it starts with, okay, on the work floor, what data do you need to have available and how to replace those, Excel lists, which you typically it's not easy
No.
at
Oh, no.
standing there
Oh,
with
no.
with Excel.
That's right.
And it's always outdated because as soon it is either printed or you have it on some form of device,
Right.
it's outdated.
Right. Well, again, the quality of information that supports any system is only good as the information that gets put into it.
Yeah.
And so that's what kind of makes this a unique component, right? The ability to have those printable sheets, the ability to, hey, I know what my handwriting looks like. You might not be able to read it, and believe me, you won't be able to, but I know what it looks like, so I know what that data means to me. I think you're exactly right. That's really where the challenge of our business is. It's understanding the data that we're gathering. How do we make that as seamless as possible, as ease of use as possible? And then more importantly, how is that structured so it goes into the system correctly? And I think that's really the art of gathering that data, but also why we create tools to help with that problem. Because that really is the real issue of most enterprise systems. It's not only understanding the data that we have to gather, but it's how do we gather that data in the most efficient way as possible.
Correct. And the good thing is, and spoiler alert, but I mean, the both of us, we grow up in a family business, a greenhouse operation. So we know exactly, what is going on there and how hard it is to work with the labor forces on the work floor and get everything. So I think that is a similar thing also in North America and what we experience here in Europe. You have so many different type of people to handle it, also to enter data in the system.
Correct.
In all kind of languages and language barriers and all that. So this is also from my role here in the organization, from being chief innovations to figure out, okay, but what will be the best way to do this? Obviously, our mobile apps currently already support multi-language.
Correct.
And have very simple interface. But the next step, and this is something new we're working on, it's not there, but is why not just use voice? And being able, in any language, just to have the system of Agriware feed it with data by voice.
Right.
You're standing at that sewing line or at the potting line, and you're having your hands full already of managing the team and everything else. So why not by voice? So this is one of the things in the next year we'll experience in terms of R&D and see how far we can bring it. And this is where the new age of AI also comes in, where these type of possibilities are there. As in the next step, we will work into with Agriware to see if we are able to get that gap basically on the work floor to close that.
Right. No, I love the ability to use the voice. I'm sure I'm not only alone that being able to get used to voice automated command, especially when it came to traffic, directions, was a huge leap forward. Now, granted, it took a little bit of adoption time, but as people have kind of become more accustomed to that, I think that is very valid for what could really take workflow operations to the next level. Because again, if you are a production manager, you're going to talk to your production assistant that's out there completing that specific task, completing that specific work order, and say, hey, how many did you get done?
Yeah.
What were the problems? Oh, well, we completed this amount. And we used this much media, we used this much soil, whatever, again, those consumables are. That is all voice recognized and voice understood. And so I think a continuation of the solution would be able to support that, would really bring a lot of value because, again, being able to continue to be on the fly, not worrying about your hands being covered in water, soil, dirt, whatever have you, I think that it would provide a lot of value ultimately to our customers, but also to the overall solution as well. Because again, being able to structure that dictated voice, being able to structure that dictated element of data is really, really important.
Yeah. And again, already what we have is really good, I would say.
Right.
And to answer your question, about so it starts really to get data quality to the next level. Compared to just entering things in Excel,
right?
Doing that in a more structured way with mobile apps,
right,
is already a big step for a lot of growers as well,
right.
And we are aware of that. So making that gap as small as possible is what we found very important for the group we are serving with our software. And there, it's a continuous way of what type of technology is available. and how are we able to apply this for the benefit of our customers.
Right.
Yeah.
It goes back to that question, why? Why are we interacting with data in the first place? And I think there's multiple levels to this. I think the first level is understanding that you have that data of record, right? It's understanding, hey, we're tracking this information because I either want to run a report on it later. I need to see what specific margins are. I need to see the specific data that's running my day-to-day operation. And I think Excel, for the most part, can do that. It can be that source of record. It can be that large file cabinet of, again, several different files. But then when you kind of take that next step to more of an enterprise level ERP system, where again, information is not siloed, but it is like Agriware can support a fully automated data component that handles every bit of element of your operation. I think, again, it provides value because now we're not just logging information for the sake of tracking it, but hopefully we're utilizing that information to make better decisions going forward. Well, okay, so Agriware, being the fact that it is specifically built for this business, you're from this business, I'm from this business as well, what makes it so unique as to other ERPs? What makes it so different than Excel? Understanding that, yes, it's not just tables upon tables upon tables. What makes Agriware very specific to this market?
Yeah, I think that goes back to the history of our company as well, like almost 20 years. There were only very scattered, specialized systems in, this is a sales system and this is production. And so, and even in there, it was limited. And we figured that, if we combine it with inventory availability from production and planning and what sales can be matched and all that. But also we figured that this industry, we learned that both at school.
That's right.
It is different to grow a batch of plants compared to building, what is traditional, building one car.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Building any standard manufacturing. We have something that lives, breathes, dies, but also will not tell you when there's a problem. It just reacts.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to react to that.
Yeah, and instead of, building one company, basically upward from components, we are having our start components, and we have different batches, or at least different sortings and heights and sizes, etc., coming out of that.
Well,
so
I don't
it's
know.
the opposite.
If we could propagate a car just by removing the tire, I think we'd really have a business model here.
Oh, yeah. Elon will not allow us. Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. So, yeah, I think understanding the production things, but also the things around that, with simple things like how to do inspections in a greenhouse.
Right.
How to record things when you're standing next to a sewing line with a group of with a whole team, up till the typical things you need to have available just by entering a new sales order. It sounds so simple, but there are so many specific things, like loading, packing, shipping, labeling, all those things. I would say you will find it in other industries, but this industry also have its specifics in there. And that's where we focus on. I typically say it like, okay, globally, yes, it's a huge industry, horticulture, but still it's a niche if you compare it to other industries,
Oh, absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
So that's also why there are not that many software vendors in this space,
Right?
Because it's not that much that large of a market, to be honest.
Right.
And that makes it for us that we really focus on this industry, and that's all we do. So based on that, the 20 years, we have all those different growing companies in the whole production cycle. Mm-hmm. So going from seed and breeding to young plants to mature plants, finished plants, basically for consumption. That whole area is where we focus on. And even there, you can combine a lot of things, what you will have in one of these, change to be useful. because they share that
Of course,
identity
it's that
of
commonality, right? Yeah,
yeah.
I mean that's probably the best part about my job. Obviously, I get to talk to companies, all shapes, all sizes, growing all different types of product. And one thing that they always ask me is how do we approach a project? And so, Arno, I know that's kind of unique, and I know every region's going to be a little bit different with how they do it. But could you kind of describe to me how over here in Europe you guys approach projects, like a typical baseline project, run of the mill?
Yeah, well, in those almost 20 years we're active, obviously we do not invent the wheel on every project itself. So we do have a very serious approach about, okay, which steps and phases we will go through. And for a young plant grower, it will not differ so much compared to seed production or cutting company or
Right.
a finished plant company.
Right.
We do have different questions and different processes to implement. But typically that starts just by going through the business itself.
Right.
And typically we very much prefer to go on site.
Right.
To actually take a look at the company, meet the team.
Right.
Also important to understand better, okay, what is this, because that makes it that the final decisions we'll make, much better understanding if, how to configure stuff, which steps to include or exclude. What type of training program do we need to apply during? So that's basically where it starts. We have a standardized approach for that, so we can also estimate those projects pretty well to stay in budget and all of that. All those typical stories.
Of course.
And from there, by going on site with, by the way, consultants which we hire are not typical IT people.
Right.
We hire from the University of Agriculture.
Right. Well, again, they're coming from trade experience. They're coming from being on the other side of the table. Now they get to, again, represent and act as that middleman between the IT solution that we have, and they get to facilitate, and really, most importantly, when they're on site, they define the why. And I know we've been talking about why. It's great that we can, but why should we? And I think that's the same approach that we do in the States as well. We famously coin it a business analysis, if you would. And really what a business analysis is, it's defining the why. And it's not defining what we should do, but really why we need to do it and the theology behind it. Because ultimately, again, in our business, we are growing plants. We are propagating, we're starting, we're finishing, we're assembling, we're doing all of these wonderful things from start to finish. But again, if the left hand does not know what the right hand is doing and that hasn't been defined, and we haven't taken the opportunity to look at it in that manner before, then is that project going to be successful? And that's what I always tell people, especially when it comes to demos too. I have no problem showing you where the system starts, but I will also most importantly show you where it ends. And within that entire framework belongs your process. And so I think we do the same approach in North America as well. It's understanding why we need to do certain things. Oftentimes understanding risk, understanding change management, understanding all the implications that go with an ERP migration. Oftentimes those can be very misunderstood, and those can get lost in the translation of doing the hard work of the project. And so I think what we really try to strive to do from Emprise is understand that at the very beginning so that we surface those risks, we identify the why, and then ultimately we determine what needs to be executed on how.
Yeah, no, correct. And I think what makes us different to other software companies is also that, we're not the typical software company when it comes to, we just run the implementation and we're gone, right? So we find it very important that while during that implementation and running that show successfully, that we also need to take care after that.
Right.
And that's actually where a lot of companies are, are able to improve much more. And that is where we see that after go live, we are going into optimization on specific processes, either things sparked during implementation or just, things while the world is changing, either in your business, either in technology, either in, the business processes. That is where we find it very important for our clients to continuously optimize.
Right.
And software is just a tool. It's more important that we look to it from the perspective of our customers, and that the value we can bring there in the business process to optimize, every click, every step, everything those processes.
Optimization is paramount in this business. There's no different there than it is growing plants or understanding software. It's how can we improve what worked, but most importantly, what didn't work, and then what can we do the next time to review that. And I think that provides a lot of value. I completely agree with you. The fact that we are from this business, we have every intention of staying in this business, being that it is such a tight-knit community, understanding that we can continue to process, improve, identify, and continue to redefine how Agriware can shape your business is paramount. As a sales guy, believe me, I would love to sell the biggest, baddest project you could ever imagine. But oftentimes that doesn't necessarily translate to success. Oftentimes what I see is understanding that methodical, phased-in project in which we can build that foundation and then continue to look and optimize and review as we go through time, not only provides value to the customers, it makes the project much more manageable, allows them to eat that big bad elephant with one bite at a time, but really it allows them to approach the project in a way that's going to guarantee success.
Yeah. And that is, I would say, the key of successful integrated system or ERP implementations. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
But really, that's really kind of structured on that mindset that we have a robust foundation. Being the fact that Agriware is built all on top of Microsoft Business Central, would it be fair to say that we have a structure and we have that foundation that we can really kind of build a legacy system on and continue to look at our ERP as a way to optimize and improve data collection, but more importantly, your day-to-day business?
Yeah, and I think that is also where a lot of other software vendors are struggling with, especially the ones built somewhere in homegrown systems. Mm-hmm. I mean, at the first couple of years, that's great, but soon technology evolves and you need to keep up in a specific industry, and that's hard.
Right.
So from Agriware, from the start, if day one, we choose a dedicated platform, a worldwide platform supported by hundreds of thousands companies worldwide using that base, Business Central. So we don't have to worry about, keeping integration with bookkeeping or finance systems or, very horizontal business processes any growing operation will have to deal with.
Right.
So we basically focus on what we call the green edges in the software itself to support those specific business processes in the horticulture industry.
Got it.
And that is what we put on top of that and integrate it into it. And that helps us to, really have a strong foundation in terms of the cloud platform or on-prem, depending on the needs of the customer. To have the foundation coming from a company like Microsoft investing a lot in, this market segment.
Right.
And that's where we benefit from. And only focus on, the typical things for this industry. And I mean, that on its own is already,
Oh, no, I totally agree with you. And I've experienced that myself. The fact that we have an on-cloud solution with that based foundation of Microsoft, we get to leverage all that within every bit of solution that we have. As you know, technology is jumping by leaps and bounds daily. Everything that we see within the accessibility of data, within the accessibility of AI, which I know we'll chat about, but everything moves at a lightning pace. This exponential advancement of improvement is really kind of huge. I would say Agriware is no different. Just last week, we are getting the newest trial versions of the newest features that were on the roadmap of Agriware. And as a person who demos for an entire living, it usually knocks me back a little bit because I have to understand, okay, we have all of these new features. Yeah. Now we get to roll this out. The cool news is even though I get to demo that as the start of our new solution of standard product of Agriware, the customers are, again, given that same opportunity. So having a system that lives, breathes, but continues to update based on that foundation of Microsoft, I think provides a lot of value as a software product because, again, it allows our system and our customers to grow with the system as the system continues to improve.
Yeah, that's absolutely in our vision to keep continuing that. It is possible to customize our software, and in some cases it is but our vision is to implement the software as
Right.
standard as
Right.
possible.
Well, again,
And avoid, any form of customization. And nowadays, I mean, in the early days, it was not always possible. But nowadays, traditional young plant growers, finished plant growers, even seed producers with very complex logistical processes, standard software.
Right, right. No, then that's what I tell customers all the time. We've spent a pretty good amount of time, good amount of effort, learning how we think this business should really kind of run operationally, at least from an ERP perspective.
Yeah.
And over that time, yes, we've built and we've developed a lot of standard functionality within Agriware. But oftentimes when we get to approach a project, it's no longer looking for a partner to help build our software. It's looking for a partner who wants to learn standard implementation.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we can build and improve and customize and design anything that you'd ever like, but if we follow this phased-in building up of a project from small to large, it's always best to go with a product that has standard out-of-the-box functionality. And you really showcase what your operation could look like within that business, but then if we need to improve and enhance, we definitely can down the road.
Yeah. And don't forget, I mean, you can have the best tools in the world, but if you connect it to people, our team, who doesn't have the feeling and the heart in this industry and is not really able to understand those, very typical business processes and things,
Right.
and still it's like, so that's why I think the combination of having a great product for this industry, but also the knowledge, combine that, and that's what I would say is a winning team
Right.
During implementations.
Yeah, because oftentimes when we jump into these projects, in that discovery phase, in that business analysis, we are mapping, but we're also understanding opportunities for us to improve. And so I think there's value that can be provided on behalf of the enterprise team as a level of service to help recognize components for optimization, help understand, okay, how do we structure this data? This is what we could do. Looking at all opportunities between what the software can support, but also with what's required within your daily business.
Yeah, no, that is true. And it starts with, for a young plant grower with its process of germination,
Right.
of seedling counts, of, them potting sometimes into those typical things, even though you have like similar product growers, right? There are still differences in how they need to run those processes.
Right.
Because of facilities which are different, or a potting line which is fully automated, and while his competitor somewhere else will have that more manual. So also there, the choices you need to make, you need as consultants doing the implementation, as a customer, running that, is that we need to have that understanding of the process and get that why out there on an early stage to run that process successfully. And that's why I think with all those years of experience and the standardized methodology to run implementations, we were pretty quickly able to run such a typical but still very specific implementation show successfully.
One thing that's I don't know if this is unique to the American market, so I want to kind of pick your brain on this, is when we are defining the why.
Yeah.
When we are asking people why they do things, how they do things, and what the value of that is, do you feel that there's also an element of discovering lost or really hidden tribal knowledge? Do you feel that oftentimes as organizations grow and as they scale and as they grow so rapidly, understanding that we have these champions of progress within our entire company, do you feel that not only is their data siloed, but their information that they have as a grower, as an inventory manager, as a production manager?
Yeah.
Oftentimes what we see, at least in the North American market, is this tribal understanding of, hey, we know how to run our business, but as we continue to grow and scale, there could be a limiting factor. And so I kind of see that data, or that a business analysis, an ERP project, is also a way to get everyone locked in a room, define the why, define the how, really write down those tribal processes and really structure and come up with a standard operating procedure for your company. Do you guys see that same mentality here for the European market?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a shift also starting with our company maybe like 20, 25 years ago that was started, where, horticulture companies became more professional, going from one location into many locations. Even some, went abroad with locations. So from there, it was also logical or natural process flow where you saw here in Europe at least that companies were also had to change about, hey, having the knowledge in our head into, hey, like I said, it's not scalable.
Right.
So we need to put that knowledge into the system on a structured way in order to scale up, to run every day the same process again until the boring part, right? Which is important to become successful. Operational excellence is that you need to have a system in place and structure to run that.
Right.
And that's basically where Agriware is really good at, to have that type of knowledge, bring that into a system in such a way that you can run that show every day successfully.
Yeah, because when we're defining the why, as we're growing, that's what's unique about our business. We have an end product. As great as plants are, they will also tell you if they're doing well or not. There's that instant gratification on it. And I think as we approach projects, when we start translating that, hey, just like you're putting in all that hard effort to define the why of why you grew that product, we also need to recognize that same level of effort goes into capturing data, capturing the information, because now you'll also have those validated processes at the end and really start using your system to help make decisions instead of it just as a system of record.